And yes, we are alive. You do not need a better child. I'm going to be showing you exactly what you need as a parent that is not just trying to make your child better. You know, many times when I meet parents, one of the things that I get to hear is how they want to make their children better, how it is all about their children, how the child did this, and that. But today I'm sharing with you that what you need is not a better child. I know that that is, something off the norm. It's not what you actually want to hear, right? But that is not what you want to do. My name is Wendy Ologe, and I'm the founder of the Intentional Parent Academy. I usually come live here every Wednesday at 9 o'clock. If you can see me, you can hear me. Let me see your comment right in the comment section, telling me that you can see me and that you can hear me, and say hello to me. This morning, I'm going to be showing you why parenting is exhausting. Now, let's start with the exhausting part of parenting. You know, many times when people come to me and say to me, oh, I'm exhausted, parenting is a lot, and all of the things that we get to say when we get to see them. Here is why your parenting is exhausting. It's not because your children are too much. No. It's not because a lot of people tell me, oh, it's because you don't know the kind of child I'm raising. I'm raising a different kind of child. Your child is mine. I get it. But there are principles to parenting that is standard. So the principles in parenting doesn't change according to your child. The methodology changes according to your child and never the principles. Because many of the times we actually say to ourselves, oh, this is, what this is about, right? So, but when you really look at it, you find out that the problem is that we don't have the principles to work these things out. Parenting is not exhausting. Somebody help me put that in the comment section, because that's something we have said over the years that have become a norm. Oh, parenting is exhausting, parenting is so hard, and all of that. Yes, it is hard, but you need to learn to choose your hard. But it doesn't exhaust you. It only exhausts you when some things are lacking. If you are listening to me, you can hear me, you can see me. Let me see your comment right in the comment section. Say, parenting is not exhausting. I actually think that parenting is one of the most rewarding things to do. Very rewarding. If you look at parenting from the perspective that it exhausts you, believe you me, you will never parent better. Now, excuse me, the reason parenting is exhausting you is because, number one, if you're exhausted as a parent, I'm going to be sharing with you why parenting is even exhausting you in the first place, right? Number one reason parenting is exhausting you is that you're carrying emotional wounds you haven't healed. So most of us are coming from a lot. Some of us are coming from a lot, like we say in the inner circle. Some of us are coming from a lot. Our a-lotness will determine how we look at parenting and what it is that we define parenting to be. So somebody was having a conversation with me and was saying, oh, you don't understand. My children are so stubborn. I said, so what do they do that makes them so stubborn? He said, they're always talking, they're always arguing, they're always shouting in the house. I'm like, okay, what skill have you taught them to actually be able to navigate these things that you have shared with me now? And then she was looking at me. And then she says to me, how do you mean what tool? Do I need to teach them tools for them to actually be able to become normal children? And it was shocking to me that a parent actually doesn't think that they need to become, that they need to teach for their children to become. Very interesting conversation. So many of us are coming from where, and then they say things like, but our parents didn't have to do anything. So our parents didn't have to do anything. So therefore, it automatically means that we should do nothing, right? So, yesterday at Tuesday Live, I was talking about why I turned out okay is the most dangerous, and I mean the most dangerous statement when it comes to parenting. Because, many times we say this, I turned out okay, and then, we just go on and on and on and on and forget that there are a lot of things that we need to teach and to learn. Now, another reason parenting is exhausting to you, there's a scripture in the Bible that says that the journey of the foolish man wearieth every single one of them because they do not know how to get to the city. Now, if you're weary on your journey as a parent, it means that you don't know how to get to the city. Somebody put a comment in the comment section and say, if you don't know how to get to the city, you'll be weary. Because the truth of the matter is, if you do not have a direction, weariness becomes the next best thing that happens to you. The next best thing that happens to you. Another reason you are very exhausted is because you're trying to control, you're trying to control what you should be coaching your child for. You want to shout off everything. You want your children to, whatever, however I say it, just do it. Now, you want to control how they listen to your instructions. You want to control how they do everything. Now, that is not the problem. Instructions are valid. Your children should listen to your instructions. But you need to coach it, not control it. Do you get it? So the problem is that you want to control. You don't understand that there is a coaching that you need. So you need to coach that process. That's what you need. So you are parenting, trying to control. You're not trying to coach. So I'll give you a very vivid example. Now, a child cannot sweep. You have not really taught the child how to sweep. So you say, okay, the child should have learned watching me, and the child didn't. And then you just, keep snapping your finger, keep telling your child, why is it that you're not doing it? What's wrong with you? What's happening and all of that? And of course, the child is constantly, exhausted and doing things wrong. Many times you find out that the child, is not that the child doesn't want to, do these things wrong, right? It's just that the child doesn't know how to. So there's really no coaching happening. There are lots of assumptions, lots of, you should have known, and all of the things that we think. It's exhausting because you're carrying too much internally. That's why. You're carrying too much internally. You can't even put up a lot of, stuff for your children to actually learn. You don't even know what it is to give, which is the real issue we are talking about. So if you are that parent who just wants to control, right, you find out that you actually struggle. You struggle so much. Because you cannot control personality. You cannot control temperament. You cannot control developmental stages. So sometimes a child starts to do something and it's developmentally appropriate. Do you know that it's developmentally appropriate for a 4-year-old to lie? I want that to sink in. It's developmentally appropriate for your 4-year-old to lie. Now, what you need to do, is it okay that your 4-year-old should continue to lie? No, that's not what we're teaching. Now, if you understand where this is coming from, it helps you to reposition the way that you are going to help to coach the child. Do you know that honesty is taught? Lies are not taught. Because it's part of the ways that the brain will need to actually save itself. So you don't learn lying, but you need to learn how to tell the truth. So most of our children have a problem with telling the truth. Facebook. Most of our children have a problem with telling the truth because we are not intentional about telling the truth. We are more about hampering on the line. Have you noticed that most of the things that we do is that when a child is lying, right? You're like, you are a liar. So we focus on what is wrong, and we never actually look at what is not working. That's where the real problem is. That's where the real problem is. All right? This is something that we need to actually pay attention to. Okay? So that's something that many times when I look at parents, all right, and parents say that this is because, my child is always lying. Have you really thought of it? That a child will need to learn how to tell the truth. This is very, very key. So, I hope you're getting value. If you are getting value, please ensure that you tag someone and that you share this with somebody. All right. So let's go. Now, one of the things that I've seen when it comes to also parenting from exhaustion is that, so when I talk about coaching, I'm talking about emotional regulation. I'm talking about teaching responsibility. I'm talking about respect. I'm talking about decision making. I'm talking about, because, control demands obedience. Did anybody get that? Control demands obedience. But in the real sense of it, what you need is coaching, because coaching develops competence. Somebody should help me put that in the comment section. Control demands obedience. Coaching develops competence. Control demands obedience. Coaching develops competence. The reason that is that one creates fear, the other builds capacity. All right? Is it for me? One creates fear, the other builds capacity. This is very important. Even if you didn't hear any other thing I said today, I want you to take that in as you are going through your process today. All right? This is so, so important. Did anybody get that? If you got that, say I hear. If you got that, say I hear. If you got that, say I hear. Put it in the comment section. Can you put it in the comment section so that we can go on? All right? So have you shared this link with someone? Have you shared this link with someone? Have you shared this link with somebody? Please do that now. Okay, I can see. I can see. All right. Okay, so let's go. So, another reason that you are exhausted about your parenting is that you're pouring from an empty cup. You are overstimulated. You are undervalued. You are overextended. You are sleep deprived. You are unseen. Yet, you expect yourself to be endlessly patient. You can't be patient. You're exhausted. Even machines shut down when they don't get recharged. So you're human, you need recharge. You need to actually parent from the place of knowledge. You're not parenting from the place of knowledge. That's why you're pouring from empty. There's nothing to give. You have nothing to give to your child. So unfortunately, what is going on is that your child can only see, the only thing your child can see is that, oh, this person doesn't have anything to offer me. And we have a lot of parents like that. Another reason is that you're reacting instead of responding. You will react because you don't know how to respond. Most of us are emotionally deregulated. Reaction is fast, is loud, is emotional, is impulsive. Response is regulated, is intentional, is measured, is strategic. When you react, you escalate the moment. When you respond, you lead it. And leadership is lighter than chaos. So most of us are leading in chaos. Most of us are in a chaotic system. So parenting feels heavy when you're leading from depletion instead of from development. So the first thing you want to do is that tell yourself that the weight is not my child. I want you to put that in the comment section. The weight is not my child. Please write that in the comment section. The weight is not my child. All right? The weight is not my child. The weight is unmanaged emotions. That's what the weight is. All right? The weight is unmanaged emotions. The moment you build emotional mastery, parenting doesn't become perfect. So what we are teaching is not that parenting is perfect. All right? That's not what we're teaching. We're teaching that parenting is supposed to be something you do with a lot of knowledge. So we're doing it with so much lack of knowledge. The way it is unmanaged emotion is not your child. So the problem is not your child. The problem is not my child. So put in the comment section, the problem is not my child. And the moment you build emotional mastery, parenting becomes so powerful. There's something powerful about parenting that gives you strength. That gives you strength. All right? And that's something that you will need to pay attention to. Now let's go quickly to the conversation and let's take it even deeper than this so that we can provide solutions and have conversations around this topic. Now, you don't need a better child. You know, many times, very many parents come to me and say, I want my child to stop being stubborn. Do you know that when you change you and change the skills that you're building and learn better, your children become better? For the parents who are in the Inner Circle program, most of them are, constantly in that space where they are learning and they are seeing that their child, something is changing in their child just because they are learning. So a lot of the time, people come to me and say, I want a more responsible child. I want a more focused child. But what if the breakthrough is not in changing your child? What if that's not the breakthrough? What if the breakthrough is about raising a respectful child? What if the breakthrough, is about changing yourself? What if the breakthrough is about emotional mastery? Because here is the truth. Your child is still developing. You are the mature one in the room. So when you lack emotional mastery, one of the things that happens is that you yell before you teach. You begin to threaten before you even, begin to train. Now, here is what happens that I see all the time. A parent comes in and then a child does something. You focus on yelling at the child. And the child actually learns nothing. Now, let me use lying as a very vivid example. All right? So, I said earlier that it's developmentally appropriate for your 4-year-old to lie. Now, the problem is, if you leave it at that and all you do is to scream about the lie, to fight about the lie, to beat them for lying, your child actually never learns to tell the truth. So you see, the problem is not the developmental process of the child. The problem is that, okay, yes, this thing is happening, but you don't have the tools. Let me flip it back. You know, we always say that we turned out okay. Oh, you should go and listen to that session on our YouTube channel. Many times, a lot of us come and say, oh, a parent, if you lie, they will kill you, they will do this. But did it really stop us from lying? I want you to put a comment in the comment section yourself. Did it really stop you from lying? Did you learn to stop lying because your parents didn't like or beat you for lying? Did it really stop you? I want a conversation. Somebody say, nah. We all continue to lie, right? You know why? Because we were not taught honesty. So people say, you know, even when you're talking to your children, you say, I don't ever lie. Is it really true that you don't ever lie? You know, we were in a session and a little girl said, please, I want to ask a question. I want to ask why mothers are always lying. Always care. I'm a mother. I'm a mom to two 16-year-olds currently, and I've raised an adult child. And I was like, what does this child mean? Mothers always. She put always. This child should be about 5 or 6. I was listening into the class. And their teacher said, please, what do you mean? He said, well, because my mother is always lying. She's always saying she's coming when she's still in the bathroom. She's always saying that, oh, that the food is ready when the food is still on fire. I was weak. Me, I wasn't the one teaching. I don't teach children. I was sitting in the class and I was weak. I pitied the person who was explaining. Because how do you begin to tell this child that, no, it's not true, that your mother is not a liar? How do you do that? How do you do that? Now, is developmentally appropriate for a 4-year-old to lie? They are not evil. No, you don't beat out the lie out of them. You know, I'll beat the lie out of you. You don't. After you beat out the lie out of them, as teenagers, they are continuing to lie. So I found that one thing that my children don't do is to lie. And I was trying to build it back. One of the things that I learned from my own mother is to teach how to be honest. It's a process. So because we are more focused on what is wrong, we leave what we should be teaching. So we are more focused on what is wrong, and we leave what we should be teaching. So you're so angry. Well, you're lying to me. So a child tells you a lie, you are more focused on, why are you lying to me? I'm like, come on. So the focus is not particularly the lie. The focus is the child doesn't know what other tool to use. And that's where the real challenge is. It's not because they are being manipulative, no. It's because a time gets in their developmental process, they actually the brain, we need to learn how to lie. So nobody teaches them, the brain just learns survival. So if you are not intentional about the steps on how to say, oh, this is what you do when you are in a place like this, instead of to lie, then everything just scatters. And it's not because they are destined to be dishonest adults, no. And they are not criminals either, like most people will say. All right? Here's why your 4-year-old need to lie, for the records. Their imagination is very active. So that lie is the process of building imagination. Now, here's what happens. Most of us beat out that imagination even before it starts. Now, the problem becomes a child is actually really struggling, and the child is trying to create, because that's what creativity, that's when it's built. And then you see it as a lie, yeah, appropriately, yeah. And then instead of you to manage it or to teach it the way you should have, you begin to hit the child, you begin to slap the child and tell the child, oh, you are lying. So the focus becomes on lie instead of on stewarding that thing that is coming out. Now, number 2, they begin to experiment with cause and effect at age 4. So they will lie. So naturally, they are trying to think, if I do this, what happens? So your 4-year-old is going to lie because he's human. He's trying to estimate, what happens when this happens? What happens when that happens? That's what your 4-year-old is trying to do. They are going to lie because they are learning consequences. So when they lie, what you're supposed to do when that lie comes up is to ask, okay, why did you tell a lie? This is what you should have done. So they should have done. One of the things I have found is that we are focused on don'ts, but we're not focused on do's. We need to begin to focus on do's. What do I do? What do my child do? And again, they are still separating fantasy from reality. So a lie comes from a lot of fantasy. You see your 4-year-old tell a story that never existed. Yes, their brain is trying to develop creativity, trying to develop a lot of things. So lying at this stage is a protective strategy. It's not a character flaw. So all this, my 4-year-old can lie. It's not a character flaw. But here's where you miss it. If you leave it at, stop lying. I dare you to lie to me again. Are you calling me a fool? Don't I know what I'm doing? And then you scream, you fight, you beat your child for lying. Do you know that one of the worst things you want to do is beat a child for lying? He never stops lying. Never. Never. In fact, the brain looks for a way to lie more to protect itself. Interestingly. So the brain lies more to actually protect itself. So here's what happens. They learn, if I tell the truth, I get into trouble. So they don't tell the truth. They learn, if I get caught, I must deny harder. So they push harder. They apply themselves harder. So they learn that truth equals to punishment. So lying does not stop. It becomes smarter. So your child becomes smarter. Because when fear is a teacher, self-protection becomes a lesson. Somebody help me put that in the comment section. When fear is the teacher, self-protection becomes the master. All right? So this is something that we need to actually work on. My anger and trigger for lying is on my unhealed trauma, actually. Yes. If you're coming from a place where you are unhealed about the things I've seen and all of that, so sometimes your child tells you, like, you are so angry. I'm wondering why you are so angry. So you are not so, sometimes you're not so angry about just a lie. All right? You are angry for what it is that you saw. So you actually saw something. Your child, maybe your brother started to lie, was not corrected, ended up a Yahoo boy, or ended up a criminal, or didn't finish school. So something triggers that thing. So sometimes a child does something, you might not know it, but one of the major things, one of the things that actually is happening in those times is that the child's, your brain, all right, your brain is telling you, this is how this happened, this is how that happened. Have you noticed that sometimes when you yell and then you sit back and think about why you yelled, you really cannot see why you had to escalate it to that point. But it's probably because maybe, just maybe, there was something in your upbringing that triggers you. So that's one of the things that actually happens to you on your process. All right? So if your child lies because they spilled the milk and your reaction is explosive, the next time they will hide the cup. Do you get it? Most of us did it. And it was okay. Most of our parents didn't know the amount of lies that we had to tell. Because you were beaten mercilessly for lying. In fact, you were threatened with hellfire. But you know where the confusion sets in? Most of the times, right? You find out that, okay, they are so angry that you lied, they beat you, but they also lie and nothing happens. Have you noticed? So you notice that, this my parent lied about something. So you look at lie and use it as self-defense. So you just continue to lie. That's why you can go online and tell a lie. That's why you can live a fake life. That's why, because nobody really taught you about integrity. Nobody really taught you. So the child who hide the cup, it's not because they love to lie, but because the brain will protect you at all costs. So instead of attacking the lie, this is what I want you to do. Teach the value of truth. So one of the things you want to say to your child is, I'm not upset about the mistake. I'm concerned that you lied. See, there are ways that you can teach about lying that changes everything. Changes everything. There was a story about Gandhi, where his grandson told the story, where his dad, he had gone out with him. Both of them were out on a trip, and the father told him to take the car to the mechanic while he attends a conference. The father attends the conference, and he went on to watch a movie with his friends. And his father calls him when he was done and says, "Oh, I'm done. Where are you?" He said, "Oh, I'm still at the mechanic," because the father told him to go to the mechanic. The father had called the mechanic before he called him, and the father found out that he was not at the mechanic. And then the father said he was crushed. He said, "Why will my child think that they need to lie to me?" Do you know what happened? He trekked with the son driving behind him. The son said that that's the biggest honesty lesson he has learned. And that's the last time he ever told a lie, even if you have a knife on his throat. So that he will live for integrity. He said that lesson sank it. If the father had shouted, had accused him, nothing would have changed. Now, when a child feels safe telling the truth, honesty will grow. The goal is not to raise a child who is afraid of consequences. The goal is to raise a child who values integrity even when it costs them. And integrity is not built intimidations. That's not what integrity is. It's built through coaching. So all this shouting, lack of emotional regulation, and here is a catch. Do you know you cannot build integrity without working on your emotions? Because if you don't work on your emotions and your own dealings, your own trauma, you're constantly going to get angry for nothing. Let me give you a typical example. Your child is crying. How many of you get angry when your child cries? Let me see you. Don't lie. Let me see your comment in the comments. Like, you are upset when your child is crying. Let me see your comment in the comment section. Like, you are upset. You are angry. Why are they crying? As in, you even feel like, I'll give you a reason to cry. We saw it growing up. You dare not cry. When they beat you, you cry is a problem. You don't cry is a problem. All right? So when you are in those quagmires, like we say, and you are in those processes where you are, struggling, the cry of a child just keeps you. Yes, I get upset when my kids cry. Let's keep it coming. Yes, because why are you crying? Let's keep it coming. Do you get upset when your children cry? Do you get upset when your children cry? Do you get upset when your children cry? Like every time they cry, you are angry. There's something wrong. Let me tell you why. The problem is not the child crying. The problem is your trauma. Something in your upbringing is triggering you. Now, imagine that cry, something that should actually make you feel pity for a child. It upsets you. And then, we justify it by saying they have no reason to cry. The cry is intimidating. Oh, the cry is not intimidating. It's manipulative. Do you know that a child at a certain level, 6'4", they really don't understand manipulation the way that you are explaining it. So you get upset when a child is crying for something and then you get triggered. You feel irritated, overwhelmed. You're shouting, stop crying. Why are you always crying? Nothing is wrong with you. This is hard. The problem is not the child crying. The problem is that crying awakens something in you. Because it's developmentally normal. It's okay to cry. Crying is communication. Crying is release. Crying is nervous system asking for regulation. But if every tear your child releases actually gets you upset and feels like an attack, something deeper is wrong. Something deeper is wrong. Why? It's because you were told. It's because you were told, stop crying, or I'll give you something to cry for. Or your emotions were dismissed as a child. When you actually said, oh, I feel like this, I beg you, what's wrong with you? Or you were mocked, cry, cry, baby. I want to see your mommy. Shame, 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 shame. Did you ever hear that? Or do you sing it for your children? You shame your children for sharing emotions. Something that we do without knowing. So when you had to grow up fast, maybe no one confronted you. So when your child cries, your body doesn't see a child in distress. Your body sees manipulation, noise, loss of control, weakness. The reaction. You're not pretending. That's you trauma responding. So when you have not allowed, you were not allowed to feel, other people's feeling becomes overwhelming. Even till now, you talk to your teenage daughter, and then she's gloomy. You get angry that she's gloomy. Why are you carrying face? Why are you carrying face everywhere? Why are you angry that somebody's carrying face? Something that, hey God, something that doesn't make sense. You think about it. Why are you carrying face? What's wrong with you? Why are you always gloomy? Why are you always carrying face up and down? You are upset. Do you know that some of us even resent our children for being extras? I taught this in the inner circle one time. So because your child is very forward thinking, your child is you even name the child Mazapin. You're always everywhere. How did that come up? How is it that you are now beginning to call your child Mazapin? Your child's extra begins to trigger you. Why is it triggering you? Some of you even look at your children that are very pretty. And then you look at, is it because, I don't even think that this is your beauty energy, let it not enter your head. Am I speaking the mind of some people? These are things that happen to you growing up. So it's not a child that is doing you, it's triggering something. Let me not say it before it enters your head. That's what you were told. Your child is doing well and you're like, oh, I'm really proud of you. No, I'm not going to say it though. It cannot enter your head. It's because somebody said that to you. Now, when you actually praise for something that you do, to enter your head. So therefore, you're not going to say it. So same thing. So a child, you were punished for crying. Most of you were punished for crying. Of course, you don't become emotionally aware. You become emotionally suppressed. And suppressed emotions don't disappear. They resurface later as anger, as anxiety, as shutdown, or even as rebellion. So your child's tear is not disrespectful. It's just them being human. So your own emotional regulations, when you stay calm while they cry, you're teaching emotional safety. One of the things that you want to do, right, is to build your own emotional strength. If you get triggered that somebody else is crying, think about it. There's something absolutely wrong with you, not the person. Things that should trigger empathy, triggers overwhelming you. It means that you cannot manage your own emotions. And that's why we do the Becoming an Emotionally Intelligent Parent course. That's a course every parent cannot afford. All right? Cannot afford to actually miss. You know, many times I actually hear parents say, oh, you know, how many of these things did our parents learn? But that's why we actually were raised the way we were raised. There is something else. So I want you to begin to actually think about it. The next time that your child cries, don't ask, how do I stop him from crying? Because that's what is in our head anytime you hear your child crying. How do I stop this child? Do you know that we bail our children from their emotions so much that we're quicker to stop a cry than to offer emotional regulation? I was in a plane. A child was crying, and before you know it, boom, they put this thing sweet in the child's mouth, giving the child tablet so that the child will not cry. That was very shocking to me. So you bail the child out of their own emotions. So the child do not have the capacity to feel. How many of you think that anger is a negative emotion? So I hear that a lot also. People say, oh, you know, this anger, this negative emotion. Anger is not a negative emotion. It's how it is managed that is the problem. So emotional regulation is a big deal. So ask yourself, don't say, oh, how can I stop this child from crying now? That's a bad way, wrong way to look at it. What you should be asking is, what is this triggering in me? Why do I want to stop it? If it's getting somebody about cry gets to one side a lot. Yes, if it's getting to your head, there's something is triggering. I have raised children. When they cry, I'm not triggered. I'm empathetic instead. I had to work on myself to actually deal with this. I'm rather empathetic, like, oh, I'm not upset. Not even when they were one. Not even when they were babies. No, I'm not upset. I'm empathetic. In fact, when they are babies, as in, used to actually do me like, I wish I knew what they are saying. You should be more empathetic than you're angry. Now, parenting will always expose what you are not healed of. And if you're tired of reacting, you're tired of yelling, you're tired of reacting, you're tired of yelling, you're tired of feeling guilty, you're tired of being triggered by your childhood behavior, then it's time for you to build emotional mastery. Somebody's asking me, so in those times, what do I do? You offer emotional support. So let me give you an example. Sometimes children are crying because they want to express themselves. So when you actually do, oh, I'm just crying, I don't know what to do. One of the things that we do in our home is to tell you, it's okay for you to cry. But you know that we can't solve any problem crying. When you're done crying, we can have a conversation. Because if you just go, and allow the child to sit in, it's okay to sit in and cry. There's no problem with crying. Crying is not prohibited. So why are we making it look as if when the child is crying, I must stop it? You must not stop it, except the child is in danger. Cry is a way for the child to express themselves, and there is nothing to do for you to know. You don't need to stop it. You actually even do not need to carry the child and say, oh, I just want you to stop crying. Oh, yeah, just keep quiet. Let the child, especially if the child is not a baby, because babies express their needs with cry. So it means that you need to actually focus on the needs to solve it. If the child can talk, that means the child is crying for a need, and it's okay. So what we do, you will sit beside you, and then you cry. When you are done crying, then we have a conversation. Now, our children have learned, all right? Our children have learned that even though crying is a valid emotion, it actually never gets you to solve any problem. So rather than just cry, they cry and they sit and they come back to you. So even as young as 5, they come back to us and say, okay, I'm done crying now. I want to find out what we're going to do. Why? Because there is emotional regulation being taught. It's time for you to build emotional mastery. And that's why we created the Emotional Intelligence course. It's not to teach you how to control your child. No. That's not how to, do it. It's to teach you how to regulate yourself. How to respond instead of react. How to break generational patterns. And if you've not registered for that course, just say yes in the comment section, and a team member will reach out to you to share details with you. One of the things that I have learned in parenting is that if the course is online, yes, it's 25,500 early bird offer. The fee changes in 24 hours to 30,500. If you can manage to regulate your emotion, you will solve 98% of your parenting problems. Because that's the bedrock. That's where you are able to now sit and say, okay, I can now begin to teach my child about this skill. I can now begin to say to my child, this is what it is that you need to do. Most of us cannot teach skills because we don't have the emotional regulation to teach it. So your child goes to school and your child is caught on camera having sex with someone, for those of us who have teenagers, and you are broken. All right? And you are broken. Then you beat the child. You are so angry. Is it okay for you to be angry? Yes. Believe you me. I have 16 years old. I'll be upset also. But will that solve my problem? The answer is no. If I do nothing about teaching my child what they should do, it will reoccur over and over again. Lily said, I've registered for this class this year. I registered last year and it changed something in me. This class will change something in you. And one of the things that it changes in you is how you actually look at, issues. All right? You begin to look at things from a different perspective. You begin to learn how to raise emotionally secure children without losing yourself. Yesterday, I was talking to a parent in a one-on-one session. This parent has lost herself, exhausted because of parenting. Why? Parenting is not supposed to drain you, supposed to grow you. So if it's not growing you, there's something wrong with the route that you have taken. So I need you to make a promise to yourself. I want to grow myself. And one of the things that happens is that the moment that you have emotional stability, all right, you find that you are able to do a lot more. I'm overwhelmed. My children are killing me. They are doing it. It's because you don't have emotional mastery. So put a yes in the comment and a team member will reach out to you. Or I can see book or your yes. Whichever platform you're watching me, just put a yes and a team member will reach out to you to share details with you on what you need to do, right? Somebody said, I feel so bad. I just slapped my 10-year-old because his nanny was talking to him and he ignored her because he was upset, all right? So, Chef Cindy, I get that. What you need to do is to put yourself together. Now, did you even ask questions? So let me tell you an interesting story about this conversation. So we had a similar, story where a child had gone to school and the one of the mistresses in the school was actually harassing this child. And the child was being rude to the mistress. Now, Ashe, like we say in Nigerian palace, this girl was being molested by her school mistress. That's the person who takes charge of the hostel. But the children, the parents kept beating her. So they come, they say, oh, this is what the child did. The parents will beat her. This is what the child did. The parents will beat her. Right? It's possible. You see, this is happening right in front of me. It's possible. Do you know that a nanny can harass your 10-year-old son? And the 10-year-old son becomes just unruly. I'm not saying that this is the case. I am saying that it is possible. So it is not okay for you to react. It is better for you to respond. Because that could be an offshoot of something else. And you know the bad part. Many male children, all right, actually fall into this mess. I'm telling you. I've sat in a session, all right, who is responding on Instagram? All right. I've sat in a session before with a 50-year-old man. And one of the things I heard him say was that his two mom's younger sisters were molesting. They were taking turns to abuse him. He was 10. He said to me, anytime I complain to my parents, they beat me mercilessly. So he said it was so bad. I'm talking about a 55-year-old man sitting in front of me in a counseling session. And he said it was so bad that anytime that I say it, all right, anytime that I say it, they come back and tell me, you see, your parents cannot do anything. That they actually beat him up if his penis doesn't rise up. He gets beaten mercilessly. Nobody saved him from that situation. Because all they could see is a stubborn, rude 13-year-old. We need to actually pay attention to reactivity. To reactivity. Somebody say yes. It happened to my daughter. And after beating her, right? I just don't know why I was pushed to ask her what happened. And she said she touched me the way I don't like. Omo, I left that minute. That's it. Please stop reacting. That's why you need emotional intelligence. You're reacting. You're too quick to react. You're too quick to what is it that you're too quick. That's why you need to work on yourself. So this I slapped my 10-year-old. I've never slapped a child before. I don't have. So it's not because my children don't do things that are absolutely annoying, right? But I don't feel the urge to raise my hand on another human being. No, I don't. No, I don't. Most times, in those area activities, think about yourself. There are a lot of things our own parents did that were not okay because they never listened. We're making same mistakes because we have not trained ourselves to listen. Today in the inner circle, I was teaching the parents in the inner circle about listening. Do you know that most of the times, this thing for listening is just, let me just hear what it is that they are saying. So we listen with a level of rebellion. That's the way we listen. That's the way we listen. And most times you see these things backfire over and over again. So join that class. Put a yes in the comment section. Somebody will reach out to you and you join the class. You need it. You need it like your life depends on it because it truly does depend on it. It truly does depend on it. So I like that this question came up because you can actually be hitting your child for something you should never hit them for. But because you are not seated. So a parent told me another story. She said that she was beaten because the dad's best friend was molesting her and she became very rude. Most times, you know, I'm able to relate because I was almost raped by a colleague of my father's at age 14. So I can relate. And I remember that I had gone to that man's house to deliver a message from my dad. And then the man locked the door and the way I escaped, not only God saved me. I was almost raped by a priest that was a family friend. So when we want to go to mass those days and it's a priest preaching, I said, I'm not going. See, when your children are fighting some level of things, please step back and ask questions. And I remember that the next time my father was sending me to the person's house, I said, I'm not going. I didn't tell him what happened. I couldn't at the time. One of the reasons I didn't tell my father is like he was going to kill somebody. I know. Anyways. But I told my mother. And when he was insisting, why will you say you will not go? My mother said, leave her alone. She's not going. You need to be able to pay attention. And that's why when you get into the inner circle, the first thing we do is to teach you how to connect with your child. How to connect with your child. Somebody said, I'm currently teaching a 14-year-old who acts up a lot. I feel he's reacting to something. Most times, teenagers actually push back at hypocrisy. The moment they smell, they will push back. They will push back. So the problem is not that this teenager, you don't understand my child. My child is very stubborn. I once spoke with an 18-year-old girl. And, you know, she's so rude to her father. I was like, something is off. Something is not okay. And it happened. That she has actually seen series of flirting and philandering with the father and many girls, including people that she knew. So her only way to do it was to put up a posture that actually looked or sounded rude. You need to actually get to that point where you are telling yourself some level of truth. That any child who is actually in that place, there is something off. So just put a yes in the comment section and join the Becoming an Emotionally Intelligent Parent course. One of the things that course will do to you is to be able to, first of all, deal with you before you can now learn how to actually get out of whatever it is. So I'm not very quick. I'll tell you another story that is very directly to me. Our daughter, when she was in JSS2, was called by a teacher to come and see him in the staff room. My daughter didn't go. Oh, they said my daughter was stubborn, everywhere was buzzing and all of that. When I called my daughter by the side, didn't know what happened. Say, Mommy, there was something not okay. I just escaped. I just thought in my head that I'm not going to go. I will rather be called rude than go. She found a way. She said, sir, I'm going to come later. Oh, the man carried it. Oh, hey, everywhere. I said, don't worry, we'll manage it better. Nobody died. And that's how we manage it out of it. The teacher is still in the school. My daughter is still in the school. I'm going to SS3. But she's been able to maneuver. See, the problem is not, rescue your children from danger. It is teaching them situational awareness so that they will be able to understand how and what to do. But time. And if you're not emotionally stable, you will react even before anything happens. So you never find or you never see the truth. How do we get into the inner circle? If you want to get into the inner circle, just put inner circle in the comment section. I'll reach out to you with the details. Inner circle is an annual 1-year program that we do every year. It starts 1st of December and ends 30th of November every year. Inner circle program is one of the best things that can happen to you. I tell you for free. Because there are a lot of, learnings here and there, everywhere. You need curated curriculum to learn this thing. I'm telling you. So it's not just teaching your children sex education. Oh, let me just go and teach my children how not to do this, how sex education must be. No. It's bigger than that. If you don't teach a child, your daughter, situational awareness, a man will take advantage of her without her actually even being able to put a lot of things in perspective. One of the reasons I was able to escape rape twice is because of some of the things I learned from my father. So the truth of the matter is that we are taking a lot for granted. So Inner Circle starts December 1st. But of course, you can register now. We have over 10,000 people in that system currently. People who are learning from all walks of life. We have people who are Americans, non-Nigerians. We have a German Inner Circle parent, by the way. We have people from the French-speaking countries. We have a pure German Inner Circle. We have British. We have American. We have 100% Americans, Caucasians. We have people from all over the world. Because, see, parenting has gone beyond, I just want to just wing it. But I tell you for free, if you do not work on your emotions, you will continue to be in the place where you make mistakes in your parenting. Every single day. If I wasn't emotionally stable, as soon as I heard that my daughter was being rude to a teacher, I would not take any other thing. The only thing I would go and say, you were rude. Hey, I've told you before. Hey. And I knew the daughter I raised. I knew that my daughter is not rude. So I had to put my ears down and say, something must be wrong. When they were saying it in school, I didn't say anything. I didn't defend her. When they were done, I called her by the corner and said, Nate, tell me. I still didn't go back to school to defend her. It's her duty to find a way through her life and survive it. It's my duty to teach her how. And it takes a lot of emotional regulation to be in that space. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. So I don't go to fight for my children in school, no. I rather teach you what it is that you need to do. It takes a lot of stability to do that. So if your child is having an issue, it takes a lot of emotional stability for you to find out what's really wrong so that I can help my child. Stop being reactive. A child is throwing a tantrum, you are in a shop with the child. The first thing you want to think about is slap the child. How does that solve the problem? Think about it. So join the emotional intelligence course. Put a yes. If you haven't joined, put it there. Over 3,000 parents who have already joined cannot be lying. There are people who have taken this course 7 years in a row. They can't be lying. There's something about your parenting that requires that you put your emotions together. There is no other way. Unfortunately, there's no other way. All right? So if you put a yes, the team will reach back to you and they will share details with you on how you can actually register to be in this class. Please fight for your parenting life. If there's anything like that, fight for your life. It gives you a better standing with your child. And especially those of you who still have toddlers. If you get to a point of raising a teenager and you don't put your emotions in check, you'll be everywhere. And your teenagers will floor you flat down. Raising a teenager in this dispensation is one of the hardest things to do. But if you're ready, it becomes the easiest. See, right now, I have two 16-year-olds, and that's the easiest thing I've ever had to do in my life. Raising the teenagers. You know why? We already built a solid foundation. And that foundation includes emotional mastery. So build emotional mastery. Stop reacting everywhere. Do you know that a time comes, even if you are beating your children, don't tell me I must beat them. A time will come they can actually beat you back. What are you talking about? So I have a friend. I'm going to start rounding off with this story. I have a friend. If you have not registered, put a yes. When you put a yes, the team will reach out to you and share details with you to register. Today is the last day to pay 25,500. The next fee in 24 hours becomes 30,500. Take advantage now. Register now. It's a 5-day course. It is every day. You have access to it throughout the year. You can come back to it anytime you want. There are master classes. There are worksheets. There are different materials you can sit with. Stop hanging around social media and looking for how you are going to get tips and hacks everywhere. It does not work. It does not work. All right? It is 25,500. That is the fee. All right? Now, I was telling a story about a particular friend of mine. She's currently a medical doctor. So while in medical school, all of us were in school. I met her in medical school. And then, she was saying to me that, somebody said, how do I become a better mom? Please get into the emotional intelligence class. That's how to become a better mom. It's by building skills. So you can ask your questions while I tell this story so that we can begin to round off. So my friend, she said she was in SS1. Her mom has bullied her, beat the silliness out of her. She said the mom was a teacher, had everything. She was constantly on a run. She said one day, what is it, Seth? She's not an eflefu, very well put together, smart, everything. She's a practicing medical doctor today in Canada. And then she said one day, when I got tired, I needed to save my head. She said the mother flogged her and was just flogging her, and then she took the cane and she flogged her mother back. She said, I don't regret that thing I did, because that was the very last time my mother ever laid hands on me. It made me laugh. It was open. I was like, what? But she said, it saved my life. Yes, I was hounded for it. My father dealt with me. Everything happened to me. She said, but that's the last time. It was as if I fought for my life. Today, she's a pride. Her parents make mouth with her. But that was because the parent didn't know any other thing to do. So all they needed to do was to keep acting the way they keep acting. At some point, that thing will fail. I don't know, at age 10, my son could lift me up. He had so much strength. My son is way taller than I am. How do you people have the liver to beat somebody that is so tall and so big? You have plenty liver. This is my small body. All right? It becomes worse when the child now conquers you with that physical power. What will you say? Who will you tell? Who will you tell it to? Better put yes, so that we can share details with you and you come and learn how to actually work on your emotions. Chef said, how do I become a better mom? Join the EI course, join the inner circle. You will become a better person. That's who you need to become for you to become a better mom. All right, just put a yes and a team will reach out to you. How do I make my amends with my son now? I'm going to recommend the book for you. Chef Cindy, The Parenting Reset. The Parenting Reset is one book that can help you start over. How to start over when you've gotten it wrong. We read this book in January and it was a game changer in the academy for many. So I will advise that you get this book and then you start. Somebody said very emotional. How do I explain to my son not to allow things that happen affect his whole day? For instance, yesterday he was flogged in school. When I went to pick him, he was sad all through. He's 9 years old. Emotional mastery, man. You need to learn emotional mastery to help your son to also master his emotion. How will one tell this? How will you tell the story? See, you cannot tell the story that you will be. If you end up being beaten by a child, you can't tell the story. And let me tell you the truth. The children we are raising today are very daring, honestly speaking. They are extremely daring. They dare you to the end. But that's not why you are improving yourself. Why you are improving yourself is that it makes you a better person. Beyond parenting, being able to get into, mastering your emotions changes everything about you. Changes how you interact with people. Changes everything. So last weekend, I was in the UK and we were on a retreat. I run the Masterpiece Mentorship Program where I mentor women, all right, who want to actually build their impact journey. And we had a retreat, annual retreat in the UK last week. And one thing that someone, a lot of people came to me to say, coach, I didn't know that, you are this, like this, you are this, and all of that, all the things that they were saying and all that. And I said to them, I've become this way because I've built my emotions over the years. That's the best thing you can do for yourself. Somebody's asking what's the name of the book? The Parenting Reset. The Parenting Reset. We have it on Amazon. We have it on everywhere. You can get different, of our books. We have different books, all right? As we begin to round off, let me tell you about our books. Raising the Girl with Sense. This is one book you don't want to miss to read. Raising the Boy You Don't Need to Bail Out. All ye bailers of boys, this is a book for you. Raising the Independent Thinking Child. You want to get the book, you can put books. The book system will actually send you details to get the books. Raising the Trophy Child. I have a daughter that is very quiet and don't express herself always. Always frustrated. Something is wrong. Absolutely. There's a connectivity problem. One of the things you want to do is to actually connect with that child. And that's why you can help her by connecting with her. The first thing you want to do is to work on your emotions so that you don't get upset. Sometimes you're talking to a child that's quiet. Like, why are you not talking? Talk to me now. Parents even get frustrated that their children are not talking to them. You get angry. You get angry. How do you get angry for somebody you need to help? That's why the first thing you need to do is to base it. All right? Raising the emotionally skilled child. And the person who's asking me that question, this book is a book that you need to get. Somebody said the book is upside down. Yeah, it's mirrored. Unmirrored. Raising the Social Genius. Raising the Lifelong Learner. This is the book that we're reading in the inner circle in March. Amazing read. All right? And that's something that you want to have. About 30 copies of books, different generics. Connect to correct. The person who's asking me, how can I help my daughter? You need to connect to correct with her. Discipline that works, all right? Discipline that works. Discipline is not an emergency. We just read these 2 books in the month of February. It's a game changer in the discipline system. Then we have parenting lessons from the Bible. We have the parenting advantage. All of it in this parenting series. I talked about sex conversations today. We have books on sex conversation. So, there have been that tweet going around. See me, the boy child. Please do not neglect your male child. Everybody, hear me before you leave this class. The male child is an endangered species because there's a lot of neglect. I did a survey and I saw that 80% of the people in that survey, about 80 to 85, were all molested. Their first time experience of sex was with people around, either aunties, sisters, sometimes neighbors. Nobody paid attention to it. Most men that you see today, and we're talking about homosexuality and all of that, go and check it. Most of them were molested at those ages by men, fellow men. It's a terrible circle. So please, pay attention to sex conversations also with your male child. I have a 16-year-old son. So I'm just imagining how somebody turns a 16-year-old son to a sex machine. Like, come on, guys. So we're all triggered by some of those things. You're talking about a 4-year-old as if you're talking about an adult. That's gross, to say the least. It doesn't matter whether it's our beloved Simi that said it or whoever. It doesn't matter who said it. It doesn't matter who said it. It is wrong, and it is wrong, and it is wrong. Please, protect your sons. They are endangered species. I posted on my timeline on Facebook, And the buzz, men sharing their stories, is gory. You don't want to even hear it. Terrible things. All right, so well, sex educate your child like a pro. Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, Volume 4, Volume 5, and then walking your child through puberty. Walk your child through puberty, all right? This is very important, okay? And then we also have the other books, Solving Family Problem Through Effective Communication, Resolving Sibling Rivalry, How to Love Your Child More, and then the Calm Parent Framework, From Yelling to Calm. If you're a yeller, you need to deal with yelling because it messes up your parenting. That quiet child might just be because you have yelled so much that the child can no longer connect. The child doesn't even know what it is. And then you have the family dating plan. I have the parenting plan. And I also have my legacy book. I launched this last year. The Kingmaker. When you look at my message, my methods, and my miracles. That's a book that you want to read if you're an impact person or you want to learn more about my life personally. I chronicled the last decade of my life, right? 3 decades on my 40th. The next one is going to come on my 50th. Alrighty. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a rewarding time. If you have not registered for the EI course, please put a yes. The only thing that can save you when it comes to your journey in parenting is what you know. When I started this session, I started with the scripture that the journey of a foolish man wearieth every single one of them because they do not know how to get to the city. There is a way to the city. The reason your parenting is exhausting you is because you don't know the way to the city. You are exhausted not because your child is stubborn, not because parenting is hard, it's because you don't have the skill to navigate. And hear me, it is not late. Even if your son is already 16, is already 18, we have parents in the inner circle. Our oldest parent in the inner circle is 82. 82 years old grandma. I have a grandfather who is 74. Oh, we lost a grandfather last year. He was 75. So we have men, fathers, mothers, learning daily. You want to be part of the inner circle. It's an annual program, all right, that you can join in. Just put inner circle if you're watching this video I replay, and we'll send to you details of how you can join the inner circle program in the next cohort. Please don't miss being in a curated system that actually helps you. But while you wait for inner circle, which is a long run, you should get into the Becoming an Emotionally Intelligent Parent course. That course will change your life the way it has changed the life of so many people. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for being here. Somebody said it's what the hype. It is what the hype. You know, so people say inner circle is a hype or hyping it is a hype. No. It is the hype. It's not what the hype. TIP inner circle system is the hype. I'm sure the others get it. It's the hype. All right? There are things you learn in the inner circle you can never learn elsewhere. So tomorrow we're having a course called Honor as a Skill. Obedience is not the goal in parenting. If you teach your children to obey, you miss it. Honor is actually a better principle. So we teach honor as a principle in parenting. And once you can get it, your children's life actually turns around positively. Yeah, are you ready for Honor as a Skill tomorrow? All right. So we have weekly webinars where we teach in-depthly masterclasses. Never seen before kind of masterclasses out there. You don't see it. We say that the things that we teach is not curated by ChatGPT. Neither can you find it on Google. It's on Googleable. It's on ChatGPT. If there is anything like that. It's been awesome being here. Thank you so much for being active. Yes, Hotels High School said is the hype. It is the hype. The very hype. So let's go. Alrighty. So join us at, if you're just joining in, you can send us a DM to register for any of the classes or get our books, or look at the link in our bio, or find us on Amazon. Or if you put Wendy Ologe anywhere, I am the only one. Any other Wendy Ologe is fake. Don't believe them. I'm the only one that is Wendy Ologe. Have an amazing day. Remember to hit the follow button so that you can get to see everything that we do online. Don't miss it. Follow us through and through, and your parenting life will change. My name is Wendy Ologi, and I'm the founder of the Intentional Parent Academy. I am called Africa's foremost parenting coach. See you next time. And if this was impactful, share it with someone now. Don't miss it.